All right, so this week I watched 6 movies. I watched six. It's not always the same. Sometimes I'll watch 2 in a day. Sometimes I'll watch none. Okay, I try to watch a movie a day, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But to do a series on what I watched this week, why wouldn't I do that? Why wouldn't I do that? Starting with Chop and Steal. This is a brand new documentary. It just came to VOD. I was waiting. I was excited. It came on Radar through the Pure Cinema podcast that I listened to. Brian Sauer, he logged it or something on Letterboxd. I didn't know about it, and then I saw on Twitter that the Ghanaian artist Heavy J, those posters, those really strange hand painted movie posters, which I love. The documentary is following childhood friends Nick Pruer and Joe Pickett. Pruer, these two best friends who started collecting like those informational or just like weird VHS tapes and kind of like mashing them together, adding things. And they actually started the Found Footage Festival. But they started creating characters and getting on to like local morning news shows to show like some person with a talent, like this yo-yo instructor guy, who's actually played by the guy from Better Call Saul and What We Do in the Shadows, Colin Robinson, Mark Proch. And that character, that yo-yo character he did, was actually it for him. He got like a call from the team behind The Office, and then his career took off. But these two guys behind that whole thing, they formed this Chop and Steal strongman duo, these characters, and they went on news shows. But the big company behind one of the news shows did not like it, and they sued, and they got in this big legal battle. And this documentary is just kind of following their struggle through that, their journey. They go on to like America's Got Talent. But there's other people like David Cross, Bobcat Goldthwait, just a celebration of comedy and this specific style, social experiment type things that really test extremely uncomfortable these news shows, because the hosts are like, yeah, you know what I mean, because they don't want to, I mean, in the moment they think it's real, and it's just extremely uncomfortable. And to commend these guys for actually being able to commit to this thing, that's really what this is, a celebration of these people that do things like this. And I love that, a documentary that's going to show me something that I've never knew about, never thought about, never would have known about probably. Documentaries focused on wacky people. I like that. And so I really liked this. I went to the movies and did a Charlie Dennis double feature, an It's Always Sunny Boys double feature with Blackberry and Fool's Paradise. We're going to start with Blackberry. We certainly are. I was so very excited about Blackberry because Matt Johnson. I love Glenn Howerton. Glenn Howerton, he is my favorite on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Dennis, the Dennis of it all, he's my favorite character. He conjures the most laugh. But I'm also a fan of Matt Johnson. I haven't done like a major deep dive, but I've seen like I've seen The Dirties, Operation Avalanche, Nirvana the Band, the show, or if that's it, that's what he's done. I know that Nirvana the Band, the show was like a web series in 2006 or something. I haven't seen that, but I absolutely loved The Dirties. It is a found footage, I don't know, horror comedy, I guess. I mean, it gets pretty dark, pretty scary. But Matt Johnson himself, he's in all of the movies he's made, but he's just so good. I mean, I'm assuming he definitely brings a lot of himself to his characters, but he's great at playing just like a fanboy, a nerdy, nerd, which I love. The Dirties was from 2013, and then Operation Avalanche came out in 2016, and it was a conspiracy thriller, like a mockumentary, 1960s set, where NASA's recruiting these filmmakers to fake film. It's like an alternate reality kind of movie. Fake the moon landing. Nirvana the Band, the show, was on for 2 seasons, 2017 to 2018. This one follows two best friends in their quest to perform at this Toronto music venue. They have a band. And it's an incorporation of, scripted stuff, a lot improvised most definitely, but like public pranks, unsuspecting people doing crazy things. The chemistry between Matt Johnson and Jay McCarroll in this, though, it's really something. It's so very entertaining, and there's heart to it. It's funny. It's cringe-tastic sometimes. Oh, and also, there's like Criterion movie posters in the background, and Matt Johnson has talked about this. With fair use, he just knows a way to work it, right? Where he can do characters that love a movie. It's like, it works. He can do that. He can show them watching a movie, or like, reenacting a scene from a movie. So some certain episodes are like themed to, think like Spaced or something, like Spaced. So Blackberry is the latest Matt Johnson directed piece and starring, and it's about the rise and fall of the company behind BlackBerry, the phone. The company being Research in Motion, And so it's a docudrama, but there's some comedy in it as Matt Johnson is involved. It's a Matt Johnson piece. The movie is tense, it's funny in moments, it's sad at the base of the day, kind of a buddy movie. It's a lot of things. A tense tech thriller. I don't. It spans from 1996 to 2008, so we see a lot of there's quite an arc involved here, and the way it's filmed, it's like a mockumentary, or like there's a crew following. Although there's not. That's not the thing here. There's not. They're not acknowledging the camera. It's just think like Succession or something. Okay? Or it's zooming in on faces and things like that, which makes for some really funny like reactions. Although usually I find that like Abbott Elementary or even The Office, I'm not like a huge Office fan, but that can become kind of bothersome for me. It's happening too frequently. Like I Abbott Elementary is like a comfort. I'll throw it on sometimes, slowly work my way through. But sometimes it's like, okay, too much. Too much. But in this movie's case, it never bothered me. In fact, I thought it added to this observational quality to it. Like we're just kind of watching these real events transpire kind of thing, you know what I mean? I was really excited about this. It was buzzy. South by Southwest, I believe it premiered. And it somehow surpassed. It somehow surpassed, and I knew it was something special from the moment of the opening title sequence. Listen, yeah, to see an opening title sequence and think, what happened to that? I've thought about this recently, and title sequences, it definitely depends on the tone, of course, your movie's going for, but for me, it just puts me in such a high, it really sets me up for the rest of the movie. It immediately just set the tone, the energy level, and then it kept that throughout. It's a pretty tense experience, I will say, also for the most part, like there's a buzzing. And the score and the soundtrack to this, the soundtrack rocks. There's sparingly used, but like hits of the time going through the years. Also great use of like archival footage throughout. Full immersion in the time period. 2023 has been quite a year of docudramas. Air, Tetris, Pinball, The Man Who Saved the Game. Is there something else? I feel like there's another. Which usually I don't gravitate towards, and I fear that could actually hurt this movie because this is like the last in the line of those to come out. And if someone's maybe not familiar with Matt Johnson, and they might just pass it off, you know what I mean? But I feel it's different in a couple ways in that it doesn't feel like just some corporate ad because, well, BlackBerry's not around anymore. And also for me, it's the fact that it feels more like telling of just like this Canadian story, this part of Canadian history. I mean, he's like one of the people at the forefront of the Canadian filmmaking scene, is he not? I mean, he cast Ethan Eng in this, who just directed Therapy Dogs, a really young Canadian filmmaker. So he's like championing and celebrating Canadian voices, you know what I mean? So in a year with all these docudramas, this one stands out. Actually, I'm going to say I only saw the Pinball movie because I like Mike Feist, and that one wasn't bad, but I also didn't feel like, I felt like that one also stood out. Like it felt like it was more it wasn't some kind of, an ad for Pinball? Hello? Absolutely amazing nerding out action. Matt Johnson is the perfect nerd. Jay Baruchel hurt me. Quite a tragic role here. Arc. Glenn Howerton, stop. It's not like a huge departure from like a Dennis type that can like lose temper. I mean, no, there's a lot of yelling involved here. It's just, I love seeing him in a movie like this. A lot of other people pop up like Carrie Elwes. We have Michael Ironside, Rich Sommer. They were both in The Dropout, Amanda Seyfried Hulu show, which it was reminding me of that too. A tech startup story, a crash and burn, which I love. I love it so much. Oh, also like Matt Johnson's previous things, the movie references are many. And movie posters, movie t-shirts, office movie nights, watching Indiana Jones. I love it. So I'm really excited to see this movie again. Only yesterday when I was sad and I was lonely. That would be The Carpenters. Only yesterday. Anyways, I turned the fan on because it was extremely hot. Okay. And I was trying to avoid fan noises whilst recording this video. Hi. I'm saying hi to the microphone for some reason because I was trying. I'm just saying like hi. Just trying to ignore what's happening here. The fan's pointed at me and the microphone's pushed back a little bit, so I'm hoping that it's not picking up any. I got a what do you call it? A pop mic. Nailed it. Where's my Ginny wand? Okay, so before Blackberry, I saw Fool's Paradise. Fool's Paradise came first, and then I saw like a really late showing of Blackberry. But Fool's Paradise, Charlie Day's directorial debut. He's also starring in. It's a movie industry Hollywood satire. It's a zany, wacky comedy. That's the style of it. and Charlie Day is playing this Chauncey-like character. When I say Chauncey, I'm talking being there. And he's in this mental health facility, and he gets kicked out on the streets. And then Ray Liotta is driving by. I'm just doing a quick little setup. This is the first 5 minutes, all right? Ray Liotta is driving by, and he is a publicist for an actor. And he sees him, and he says, "Oh my God, get in the goddamn car. We need to go." And we find out that he's publicist to this actor who refuses to get out of his trailer. He looks exactly like Charlie Day. So the mute one version replaces him because they need to get going on this movie. And then the actual Charlie Day, something happens. He's out of the picture, so this guy replaces him. And then he does his zany adventures. I say zany once more. Zany adventures in Los Angeles, in the movie industry, the magic of the movies. Hollywood Hills, house parties, Kate Beckinsale, Adrian Brody. There's an A-list cast here, okay? Because, of course, friends with Charlie Day, collaborators. And Ken Jeong is like an agent who takes him in. He's like one of the main characters. Charlie Day and Ken Jeong are like the two central characters, basically. So I have quite an interest in actors turned directors, their first movie, and especially if they're in it. Because it can either make it more interesting or it can make it more painful. More painful when, you know, you can tell that it's this unfiltered vision, that they're not being told what to do. This is what they want. And when it doesn't work, you know what I'm saying? It just adds this and I feel really bad when talking about this movie because I really don't want to tear it to shreds. I'm not gonna say it's the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, but I really didn't like it. I really didn't like it. It was one of those things where it started and I thought, okay, this is fun, but immediately, pretty immediate, I'm thinking, okay, that wasn't funny. And then it's like, okay, that also wasn't funny. That's not funny. That's not. The hits just keep on not coming. Okay, and painful in that so very unfunny. Not just not funny, but like so far from being funny. Oh God, and I feel bad because I know this was like a passion project for Charlie Day, and you can tell that he's putting a lot into it and he's having fun doing it and he's putting his love for movies that he loves. The movies that he loves, you can tell he's incorporating things from it. He's playing a total Charlie Chaplin physical comedy type beat here. And there's just like little references. Definitely, he had a Criterion Closet video that came out leading up to this release. He talked about The Player, Robert Altman's The Player, which I love. A really great Hollywood satire with this big ensemble, well, as Robert Altman does. He also talked about Being There, which is like a huge influence here. Just this character that is a blank canvas type character that people can project onto. Very impressionable person that just, you know, it kind of changes perspective of the people around him. And it's interesting because, you know, The Player, there's so many people popping up, different cameos and stuff, but it works. It feels right. It all just kind of plays into the whole idea of the movie. But in this movie's case, there's so many characters introduced. There's too many characters and there's nothing to grab onto is what I mean. I will say impressed with like the look of the movie. It was not a generic looking movie. It was very warm to the touch. The score was by John Bryan, and I don't know. It didn't feel fitting. It didn't feel right. In certain moments, it was very conflicting. It felt conflicting with what I was looking at. It just did not seem to fit, and that's the best thing that's all I can say. Something felt off. What else can I say? I would say if you're a huge It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia fan, or like mainly just Charlie Day, then definitely, I mean, I'm sure you will watch it to support him. I was browsing the Criterion channel. Oh, I love it so much. It's so very vast. To cross-reference, look up Criterion channel. You can even look, all movies, Criterion channel. Right, you can get this huge list of every single movie that's on there that you can't really access through the app itself. I mean, there's no A to Z section, so you could scroll and maybe not even get everything. Not even scratch the surface, may I say. Dare I say. Because it's a huge list of movies, the catalog on there. And of course, not just Criterion movies that are in the Criterion collection. And we're talking just so many random little things. I watched a movie called West is West from 1989, and I loved it. It's definitely VHS format, like it never got beyond, or DVD if anything. DVD, if even DVD, actually, I would just say VHS, judging by the quality that it is on the Criterion channel. But it was just this really cute San Francisco set, little rom-com, fish out of water culture clash type thing. It was a really great late 80s San Francisco time capsule. But browsing the Criterion channel, I decided to watch Merrily We Go to Hell from 1932, Dorothy Arzner. The cover of this Criterion edition has caught my eye so many times. I've been close to buying on like 50% off Barnes & Noble sales. Dorothy Arzner, she was one of, I mean, in her time, like the 20s to the 40s, she was, I think, like the only female director working in Hollywood. One of, if not. And Merrily We Go to Hell was like in the middle of her directing career. We're talking pre-code here, absolutely. It stars Sylvia Sidney and Frederick March. I've seen Sylvia Sidney like in her older years. I'm talking Mars Attacks. Okay, Mars Attacks, the Slim Whitman listening lady who saves the goddamn day. Beetlejuice, of course, but I don't think I've seen her in anything in like, you know, the beginnings of her career. But she is so cute and precocious, and I just want to laugh with her. So this is a romantic drama. We're talking a passionate relationship forms, a marriage quickly comes, and then the rockiness begins, mainly dealing with the Frederick March's character's alcoholism. And so very interesting look at like this time period, Depression era marital problems, or specifically alcoholism. There's also this ex-girlfriend character that comes back into his life, and he like runs back, and it's actually pretty sickening. His character's pretty sickening in this. And I will say something that I didn't like, but it's almost, of the time, it's like it had to be this way, but there's like this happy ending that I didn't think should have been. But overall, I really enjoyed this. I loved their chemistry, like first meeting on this rooftop with beautiful, you know, skyline with like neon signs and stuff, light bulb signs, what are you calling it? And I'm really excited to go through and watch more of her movies. Falcon Lake 2023, directed by Charlotte Lebon. This one premiered at Cannes last year, 2022. This is a French-Canadian coming-of-age drama. I want to say horror, but there's a haunting, ghosty backdrop to the whole thing, atmosphere to the whole thing. There's a brooding sense of something dark. It's the story of this young boy on vacation at a lake house with his family, staying at a family friend's house, a family friend who has a daughter. And he forms this bond, this relationship with her. He's growing into his teenage years. So it's a vacation full of exploration, of curiosity, of jealousy, of many mixed emotions, confusion. This bond that he forms with this other girl, she's like a little bit older than him. She's like 16, he's like 13 or something like that. And she tells him these ghosty stories about this kid who drowned in the lake there. And there's these really cool little moments throughout where, you know, we're zooming into the tree, the sky, the tree line, or like we're seeing this ghosty figure, but it always subverts the expectations in a really interesting way. Very unique coming of age story that hit very hard at the end. Very impactful ending here, an emotional high. I really like this one. I would definitely watch it again. I think this aspect ratio really worked for it too. What do we want to say? 1:1? Is that what we're dealing with here? Also shot on 16mm. A very warm, nostalgic feel to it that I really liked. All right, and then finally I watched Book Club Chapter 2. Listen, I love it. I love it. It's so bad. It was, I'm gonna say, number one. Okay, so first of all, I will say, it's kind of become, it was this inside joke between me and my mom. It's our ladies. We've got Diane Keaton, we've got Mary Steenburgen, we have Candice Bergen, and we've got Jane Fonda, of course. And, you know, basically the synopsis here, they start a book club. In the first movie, they were reading 50 Shades of Grey. And that first one was such a big hit at the box office because, you know, people were taking their moms and such. And, of course, the cast. Why wouldn't it be a hit? We get a lot of these movies, though, with certain, especially Diane Keaton and Jane Fonda. But Book Club was like a surprise hit. And so this second one was inevitable. But now it's being handled by Focus Features, and they really stepped it up on the production value. I will say it looks a lot better this time around. The first one was Universal, I believe. We're gonna step it up this time. Hey, Mambo, Mambo Italiano. Bette Midler's Hey Mambo playing on trailer and in movie. Italian renditions of songs. Gloria! In the first one, Jane Fonda reconnected with an old love played by Don Johnson, and now she's getting married. So they decide, hey, we never got to take our trip to Italy back in the day. Steenburgen has this diary, and I guess they talked about going on a trip. You know what? The details, I saw this like yesterday. I saw this yesterday, and it's like, I'm forgetting little moments, details of the plot. But they decide to go for a mixture of just them going as a group and also a bachelorette party. And they have zany adventures. They're thrown in jail, they meet people, they go to parties. It's cute, it's bad, it's only boring sometimes. They gave us these like little plastic book club tumbler things. Here, okay, it states book club, and we're plastic, and it says focus features, okay, so they gave us this. Slightly embarrassing, I will say, but like, it's okay. Just like the workers are like, wait a second, you guys get this cup. And we were like, oh my God. And that was my week in movies. If you guys watched, I would love to actually know what you thought of Fool's Paradise. I would love voiced opinions below. Actually, on any movies that I discussed, if you saw. As we settle into the YouTube channel, to the format of the YouTube channel, to the long form video YouTube channel, series will emerge and we'll just go with the flow. I'm on TikTok at Movie Boy Guy, same name. We're over there and I make videos every day on there. Every single day. New movies, old movies, anything I like. That's what we do.